Here's key number 8. And this may be the most important key, well, at least one of them. You must develop certainty. Now let me repeat that. You must develop certainty that you can handle almost any problem no matter what happens. Now remember that word certainty. It's the thing that so many human beings are seeking. See, people want to feel certain that they can deal with what comes up in their life. In fact, in order to remain feeling certain, what many people do is they stay in a situation that they hate. For example, I often see people in a relationship, and they really aren't happy together. They aren't working on even making their relationship better. They dislike each other. They're making zero progress, but they'll stay in a relationship 10, 15, 20 years. Why would they do that? And the answer I found is that when you talk to these people, they say, well, I really should leave the relationship, but I guess I think about what if I leave this relationship and then I never start another one? I never meet anybody else. Yeah, I'm unhappy, but at least I've got a relationship. At least I come home and I feel certain this person is here. Even if we fight, at least they're here. See, they'd rather deal with painful certainty than the ultimate pain of uncertainty. Because people are afraid when they're not sure what's going to happen, it could be worse than it is, and they hang on to what they've got. It doesn't make any sense, but it's the way human beings very often operate. So how do we feel certain? Well, a lot of us try and get ourselves to feel certain by working really, really hard. But is it possible to work really, really hard and then still have a problem come up and change things overnight? Is it possible, for example, to work your whole life and build a beautiful home for yourself and your family, and then one day have an earthquake, take it away? If you doubt it, ask anybody in San Francisco. You know what's interesting? I think it's fascinating to look at how different people respond to a catastrophe like that. Some people use it in a way that totally disempowers themselves. Others use it as a way that makes their whole life and relationship and family closer. I do a lot of seminars in the Bay Area, and I talk to a lot of people that went through the experience, and it's really fascinating to see how their lives have been altered by the experience. Some of them have taken that experience and said, see, I can never be certain of anything again, why even try? I could do everything right, it still turns up wrong. See, there's no reason to go on. And what a lot of them have done is they've taken that one problem and allowed that one problem to devastate their life and their family. Other people took the experience and said, you know what it did? It made us unbelievably appreciative of the more important things in life. That problem of watching our house crumble down brought us together because the first thing we thought to ourselves is, thank God we have each other. Thank God none of us got killed or hurt. Our whole family is here. And what it's done is it's reoriented us to not so much things in our lives, but to the most important things of all, our relationship. You can't believe what's happened. I'm so much closer to my son now. We're making a difference. My daughter is doing better in school. Her grades have gone up since the earthquake just because we have bonded so much as a family. Isn't it interesting how two different people can take the same problem and convert it into something different? They have used it to create more certainty. They feel more certain that they're going to experience more of the joy they want in their life because they used it in a way that has enhanced their feelings. I got a question for you. How would you feel if you were absolutely certain that no matter what happened, you could turn things around? If you knew that someone could throw any problem they wanted at you and it would bounce off you, kind of like Superman, right? The bullets just bounce off. Nothing was going to penetrate the quality of your emotional life, that you could deal with anything and make it work. How would that make you feel as a person? I can tell you that inside, and there are times when it wavers, I'll be honest with you, but 99.9% of the time in my life, I know I can turn around. And that 0.1% of the time when I fall off the wagon, all I do is do the things I taught you. Change my state, change the way I'm using my body, ask myself a better question and get back on track. How do I have that level of certainty that makes me feel like I can deal with anything? Well, part of it is because I've had a lot of pain. I've been through the most challenging times, and I've turned it around because I didn't give up, because I didn't ask, why is this happening to me? I asked, what's the solution? How do we turn this around? Not only how do we turn this around, how do we turn this around and make it even better than it was before? By using the very things I've talked to you about, I've created enough experiences that I can feel certain. It's kind of like a tabletop. I've got legs to the tabletop called references. That is experience after experience that now makes that tabletop feel solid, like it can stand on its own. And I've worked at creating those references. I'll give you an idea of what I mean. If you really wanted to, could you come up with references, that is memories, experiences you've had, to back up the idea that people are basically mean and ornery and they'll take advantage of you if you give them an opportunity? I bet you do. Do you also have references that could back up the idea that people are basically good, that they're honest, that if you give them half a chance, they'll really work to support you too? Don't you have experiences that would back that up and make that feel solid as well? Then the key, I think, is to look at our life and practice what I call memory management. To remember the memories, the experiences we've had that back up the ideas that make us feel certain, that allow us to know we can deal with whatever comes up. I'll give an example. On my 30th birthday, and it's interesting, I find that how after a birthday with a 0 on the end, we tend to reevaluate our lives a little more closely, as if it has any more meaning. For some reason in our culture, we tend to do that. At least I did. I'll just say that. And what I did is, fortunately, I've kept journals for years. And in those journals, I basically have recorded my life. I'm a big believer that if your life's worth living, it's worth recording. So I've got in there my goals from years ago. I've got in the challenges that came up, the solutions I came up with, the things I learned from books and tapes and people and situations. My journals are an incredible set of resources that I can tap into at any time. Plus, they show me how I've grown. And what's interesting is I took my journals and my daytimer, if you will, and I went back to when I was 20 years old. And then I extended it all the way back to 17. I made it 13 years in all. And I created for myself a large chart. And on it, I put the months of the year from the top, from January to December. And then across the page, horizontally, I put each of the years, going back for me to 1977. And in each month, what I did is I reviewed my journal. I wrote down key events that happened in my life, whether they be good, bad, or indifferent, where I could literally go back and say, what was happening in January of 1977? And I could compare it to what was happening to me in January of 1987. And as I did it, as I went through and created this chart, I got an incredible experience. I realized that I had been through heck and back, and that through all those experiences, I had turned it around, and I could see them there in front of me. It was different than just knowing inside my head. What it did is it gave me literally dozens and dozens and dozens of legs to back up the idea that no matter what happens, I'll find a way to make it work. I always have, and I always will. When you believe that in your gut, it gives you a power in dealing with problems that few people have. It gives you the emotional freedom, the sense of internal knowing that says no matter what occurs, I'm in charge. Gosh, it's an incredible feeling, and it's one you deserve. And so when you're done with this tape today, that's going to be your major assignment. Your major assignment is to at least begin creating a chart of the memories of your life for the last 10 years, where you're going to begin to fill in and maybe even talk to some other people around you. Because when this chart is complete, you'll find you won't be fearful of problems. Instead, what you'll do is you'll get excited about them. Because as I look back over those 10 years, I can see how some of those things that look like problems led to some of the things that I now value most. I had a problem years ago. I was supposed to fly to Denver, Colorado, but I had another engagement that I thought was more important to me. And they held me to my contract, and it made me angry because I thought, gosh, these guys could be flexible. They could reschedule it. They've got lots of opportunities. They could have somebody else speak on that day. I even offered to pay my way out of doing the event. I'd buy my time back. They wouldn't let me do it. It seemed like such a problem. But you know what? On that trip, I met the lady who became my wife. I look back and I remember when my kids came to live with me. 3 of my children are not my blood children, but they certainly are my kids, and I love them dearly, and our relationship has become incredible. But you know what? When they first came to live with me, oh my gosh, it changed the relationship with my wife pretty intensely. I mean, it really made me scared. Inside, I thought, gosh, I don't have any time with my wife anymore. These kids want to be with her all the time. I love the kids, but gosh, when do I get my time? And it was such a problem. It frustrated me. But you know what it made me do? It made me grow like crazy and figure out, how do I enlarge my heart? How do I allow myself to feel more in the same period of time, to absolutely feel my wife's love, to connect with her even more than we did before? And it also allowed me to be able to experience the love of my children, to create a bond that most people pray for during their lifetime. What an incredible problem. It created an incredible challenge, which turned into be the ultimate opportunity for expanding myself emotionally and spiritually and my family. See, what seems like a problem may actually be a gift. We just got to be willing to see that process. And as I looked over my life, I could see tons of these gifts. I could really see that these problems had enhanced my life, and I could see where it made changes and who I've become as a person. So when this tape is done, that's going to be your major assignment. You're going to want to take out a piece of paper and draw yourself the beginnings of a chart. You'll write down January through December, vertically from top to bottom, and horizontally you're going to write the years. And when you're done with that, gradually, over the next few days, take some time, some concentrated time, maybe 30 minutes, maybe even an hour, to think about where you were at different months, different years, different experiences that have significantly affected you, both positive ones and also ones that seem negative at the time. And when you see them in context, when you look back, 2 things will happen. 1, you'll say, man, I can survive anything. I've been through the tough times. I don't have to wonder whether I can do this. I've already handled those kinds of situations before. And 2, it'll give you unbelievable certainty about your future. I remember years ago, when I was in junior high school, that's when we had the oil crisis. All of a sudden, we were in a situation where I didn't even have a driver's license yet, and I was beginning to wonder, gosh, would I ever get one? That was my big problem. Would I ever be able to drive a car? And what was interesting, I had a teacher that told us something I never forgot. He said, young man, something you should remember. Human beings always solve the problems when they get big enough, when it's important enough. Necessity is the mother of invention. He said, don't worry about the oil crisis. He said, we'll find a way to turn the thing around and we'll find a better solution. And then he read me this article, and it sounded like it was out of the newspaper that day, and it described how the whole world was going to go dark because oil wasn't available anymore, because we're running out of oil. You know what the oil was? Whale oil. Interesting. It was written in the 1800s. And he began to laugh as he read it to me, and I began to laugh too when I realized, hey, the bottom line is human beings are resourceful to always find a way. We need to realize we are human beings. We always will find a way, and feel the certainty that allows us to know, no matter what happens, we're in charge. And to take worry and put it in its rightful place. Set it aside. Concern's one thing, worry's another. Take charge of your life, handle problems from a state of certainty, and you'll come up with much better solutions.